Hey ladies, it's Charlie O and Lola, and we're the Shady Ladies. We're a couple of love coaches that love to sit on the patio, drink champagne, and talk about sex and love and relationships with no shame. We're here to help you to keep it exciting. Welcome to the patio. It's the Shady Ladies podcast, and we have a lovely guest today. It's Allison. She's joining us today, and she, being of the younger generation, wanted to ask, what are some things that the younger generation want to know? So we're kind of being interviewed today and asking these questions, and we hope that everyone finds it helpful and useful and learning a little bit from the older generations, because I know I could have used this. So welcome, Allison. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Super excited to be here.
Cheers. All right. So I wanted to start off with one interesting little thing that kind of has come to light since we started talking about doing this. I had a very interesting situation happen years ago that was just an interesting moment. And it was only just a blurb of a moment, and it involved you and me. And it was several years ago. So it was after a special event that had happened in our family. And I remember you were going into your coat closet. You were looking for some things to put on or wear or whatever, going to take Kobe for a walk. And you were in there, like looking around, whatever. And I remember sitting on the bar stool, and I had a distinct feeling that we would do something in the future. And I didn't know what it was and what it meant. There was no Shady Ladies at the time. And I didn't know what it was, but I mean, it lasted for probably 3 or 4 seconds, but I just thought, that's interesting. I wonder what that'll be. And then even up to the point when you were talking about doing this, instantly, the second you mentioned, I'm like, oh, absolutely. This is fantastic. I love this idea. Even then I wasn't sure, like that memory didn't quite come up, but the feeling came up. So the feeling came up from that moment years ago, but not the actual image of, when that happened. And so anyway, I'm just delighted to have you. And I'm so excited to do this, because I do think that, it is important to, pass on our wisdom and things that we've learned. And, and then the younger generations can take what they want, find the little golden nuggets that they find useful for themselves, and hopefully, relax into this process of living and thrashing around in life and fighting it, and then letting it flow, and then fighting it and letting it flow. So anyway, I welcome you, and I'm going to let you start off with whatever question you want to ask.
Well, thank you. That is a beautiful manifestation that has come to be years later.
Yeah.
So it's been in the works, it sounds like, but this is awesome. I think that what's cool is Shady Ladies provides a safe space for anyone to learn and to just be open and hear what others have to say, which is why I was so open to asking you questions, because some of these questions are even things that my friends have asked me that they wish they could ask their parents. And so this is an awesome opportunity to get some wisdom going.
Yeah.
My first question for you is, what is something that you wish your younger self knew about love and relationships?
That's really a big one. So it's an excellent question. So I think the very first thing that comes to mind is no one, and I mean no one, can come rescue you. There is not a man on a white horse like the Cinderella movie there's no one there. And, you know, and Snow White and all of those fairy tale movies that we grow up with. And I love the stories. They're beautiful. But, you know, at some point, I think we have to realize that there isn't, you know, a man on a white horse coming to rescue us. And so I think what I would tell my younger self is to rescue yourself. Don't wait for someone to come. So rescue yourself and make your own money, damn it. Make your own money, because relying on a man for all of that. Now, I was a stay-at-home mom for years, and I have zero regrets of that. But when it came time to part, I was left with almost nothing. And that was okay, because I wanted my peace and my freedom. So that had more value to me than money. But at the same time, I wasn't equipped to go out and have a really good job that could support me and my children. And so it put me in a situation that I didn't want to be in. So I would say make your own money. And so in other words, being, you know, self-reliant and responsible for all aspects of your life. And I think I would tell my younger self that there is not a man on this planet that can satisfy all your needs.
Wow.
So, you know, and the thing is it's not their job to satisfy your needs, right? So how can they meet all your needs? They can be wonderful and amazing, and you can have a wonderful relationship with them, but they still can't satisfy all your needs. And I think that I would tell my younger self that it's your job to fulfill yourself and do things for yourself that fill you up, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, all of those things. Find those things that fill you up, and you will enrich your relationships and your relationship with your partner so much more than waiting for them to feed you morsels to make you feel full. So that's definitely one of the things. I think I would also tell my younger self that your dream partner is out there somewhere. And I remember writing a letter. This was 13 years ago or more, maybe going on 14 or something like that. I wrote a letter to the universe, which I use that word for God, my source, energy, whatever that is. And I wrote a letter. I hand wrote it on a piece of paper, and I wrote it detailing what this person would be like. And a lot of details, like how our relationship would be, all of the easy flow type of things in the relationship, and just the things that they would or would not care about per se. And I would say, be careful as soon as you send it. It happens quickly. I wasn't ready for it. It happened so fast. I thought it would take a while. It happened so fast. I was shocked at the person, but it's been a beautiful, beautiful, you know, journey of 12 years so far, and with zero regrets. And so, yeah, I would say take responsibility for yourself overall. And
that's beautiful. And honestly, something that we can all learn, because I think in love, it's oftentimes portrayed as find your partner and then you'll be whole. What you said is it starts with you.
Yep. It does. It starts with us. And I think that if you can find some quiet moments in your day to tune in and to listen with your heart, and you know, I like meditation. I've done it. I've hardly missed a day since 2006. So meditation is my form of tuning in. There was a quote, and I can't remember who said it, but prayer is you talking to God, and meditation is you listening to God. And so anyway, so that's kind of my thing that I do every day. And I think just listening to your heart and learning to follow your heart in every way is just super, super important.
Yeah. And that message stood out to me about making your own money. Do you believe that money in itself is a love language?
Well, it's certainly an exchange of energy. So I think that, you can give gifts, but they can be, gifts that don't really cost much, or they can be gifts that cost a lot. So we often give in ways that we like to receive. And so I think that it's important to listen to what your partner, your friend, it could be your child, whatever their love language is, and give them in a way that they like receiving, because they may not want to receive in a way that you want to give, which feels natural to you, right? So I think that money is, first of all, it's not evil. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with having it, not having it. You're not more spiritual because you don't have it. I think you shouldn't hold yourself back from money and earning a living, even if you choose a spiritual path. It's just an exchange. It's no different than exchanging a banana for an apple. It's just an exchange. And I think when you respect it, more of it will come to you in a way that with ease. And I don't mean from needing it, but from just with ease, that it will just flow in and around you.
Wow. Yes, that's beautiful. And I think that when you and your partner are on board in that, then the symbiotic relationship just transforms completely.
I do too. Yes. And so it's so important to identify what you want first and foremost. I think women, I always hope to empower women to do that and not fold into their partner and let the man, dictate what's important, whether it be financial or just vacations or whatever decision it is. First find what is important to you and then share it with your partner. And then, and then hopefully, a good part of your goals will be aligned, and it'll just be beautiful.
Yes. Okay, I have another question for you.
Okay.
All right. How has your intimate relationship changed with age?
Oh gosh, that's it's changed a lot, because I think that it takes years of getting to know yourself. I do think we are, like Shrek says, we're onions. We've got lots of layers. And I think that it takes years of just peeling off those layers of what others have put upon you, their beliefs about, who you are, what you should be doing, how you should behave. There's a lot of layers of shame in there, as well, that come passed down from, generations prior, and religion and things like that. And so I think you have to deconstruct some of that as at the same time you learn who you are, what you want, what you like, and what you love, and what you want to surround yourself with. And so I would say it's been a long journey. It's a long process, but it's worth it. It's worth it to continue to keep taking steps forward to figure out who you are, what you want, what you love, who and what you want to surround yourself with, and what's most important. And so, yeah, it's definitely changed me, but in beautiful ways, and helped me to realize I love myself. I'm not perfect. I'm still a work in progress. And, but I love me. And I heard a quote today, and it said that something, I'm sorry, I wrote it down, and I don't have it with me, but it said something to the fact that I have met myself, and I will protect her fearlessly. And I thought that was
Wow.
very beautiful, because I've been there, and I've had to apologize to my younger self, for not showing up for her in a way that she needed. And, but also, definitely, to quote Oprah, I mean, when you know better, you do better. So, I didn't know any better, but now that I know, I will protect her, meaning, my heart, my soul, fiercely. And, I will not ever let her get harmed again. So, and I'll keep showing up for her in the best way I can.
Mhm. Yes, protecting that and even your inner child. Do you feel like you are connected with your inner child still?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I do an exercise every single day, in the morning after my meditation, and I connect with that little girl within me. And, because I don't care what your life, what your background, what you've been through, that that little girl needs to be healed, and she needs to know that she's cared for and loved, and that you'll protect her. And that kind of goes along with, because I have met my true self, and I will protect her fiercely. That goes the same for that little girl. And so I tune in with her every day. And she's very wise, even at a very young age. She's very wise, and she lets me know little ways to correct my now self. But there is a lot of times where I am reassuring her that, hey, I got you. We got this, and you're going to be okay. And, so yeah, I think it is very important.
That's beautiful. I love that you said you do still connect with your inner child, because I think that a common misconception we hear with aging is that you just feel less connected with that part of you. And so hearing that you do the work every day to make sure that part of yourself is still alive, still feels
Mhm.
loved, that's amazing.
Yeah. I've got this picture. It's just this little, back in the day when I was younger, Polaroid was the thing, right? So you took instant photos with Polaroid. This one wasn't instant, but anyway, so it's just this little square photo, because that's how they did them back then, and the corners were rounded. It's just so cute. Anyway, it's this picture of me, and I'm I don't think I'm 3. I may be 4 or 5.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm sitting up on top of this giraffe, up high as I can go at that point, up on his neck, and I'm up so high, like in this little girl self way, right? And it's just this big giraffe that you could climb at the park, and I'm up there, and it just was my favorite place to be at the park. And I liked a lot of things about the park, but that was my favorite place. And so anyway, this picture of me is by my bed, and I think about her often, and how, it doesn't matter what she's been through, we're going to pull through it, and it's going to be okay. And yeah, so I think that is it's a big thing, because you know what, wherever you go, there you are.
Mhm.
And you're bringing that little girl with you everywhere. And if you don't help her feel safe and secure, she'll show up in your work situation. She'll show up in your disagreement with your partner. She'll show up at the grocery store when you become highly offended by somebody. You know, she's going to continue to be there. So you might as well keep tuning into her and, you know, not bringing those situations to your current life, because now in your adult self, you're going to deal with things differently than that little girl did. But if you don't address them, she's just going to keep being right there. But you're, you know, like for me personally, I could be in my 50s, but I'm still learning something from an 8-year-old, you know? So that's why I tune into it, because I don't like an 8-year-old dictating, you know, what I'm like in my 50s. So yeah, it's a big deal.
That's great. Over time, do you find yourself looking back at the things that you desired when you were my age?
Yeah.
And once you reached those things and accomplished it, did you feel that it was everything you hoped for and more, or did you feel a sense of difference from accomplishing those things?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think I would say that has gotten better with age.
Okay.
For sure. You know, I think when I was younger, I was just sort of clunky and thrashing around and, you know, bouncing off of things, so to speak. And yeah, I think that no matter what I accomplished, always felt really, really good. And, but I have to say, you don't ever really just arrive. You still have to keep reminding yourself to keep going, keep taking steps forward, keep, you know, unraveling things about yourself, keep discovering, keep learning, keep pressing forward. And so I would say that the successes become richer as you get older. You know,
That's good.
they become richer. So it's like tasting a super delicious piece of chocolate, you know, or just, I don't know, or just a wonderful piece of food or something that is just, you know, even the smallest bite can be so rich and so wonderful. So I would say it gets better, but you still have to work at it.
Okay, I have a question for you about intimate relationships now.
Sure.
So in school, they don't really teach about intimacy with a partner. They teach more about abstinence and not to explore that side of yourself. So what is a common misconception that people grow up thinking that you think needs to go?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, for me in school, they just talked about anatomy, right? And they put the girls in one section and the boys in one section. And then, you know, so it's very kind of scientific and not truly about relationships and things like that, and sex. And you mean sex as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What needs to go? Well, you know, first of all, if the teacher isn't passionate about the subject, the teacher needs to go. You know, because if they're just like drudgery and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to teach this class today, and it's drudgery, it's not going to inspire anyone to, you know, learn and explore a little bit about. Now, I'm sure on some level they can only go so in depth, because it seems like in school anymore, no matter what, everyone's getting offended right and left, no matter what you do. So yeah, I think if the teacher isn't passionate about that topic, they need to go. I think that I approach this topic a lot, or, you know, at least enough, but I haven't really found a really good answer as to how do we raise children. And I'm talking about, you know, the earlier years, you know, before you start considering, you know, college classes and things like that. How do we teach these children about their sexuality. First of all, that's a dirty word, right? Sexuality. Oh my gosh, we got to drop that word. There you go. There's another one. Because we all have our own unique self-expression. Mm-hmm. And we express ourselves in our own unique way sexually. And whether it's sexually, our sexuality, those are separate to me, and then they're not. And, to be more uninhibited, I think is important, because that comes from shame, to be more who you truly are, your authentic self. And, part of that just comes with development over the years. I think that, now that I'm older and I'm in my 50s, I think I would say it's just part of development in life in general. I remember looking this up when my kids were younger, and by the time you hit your 50s, you have a I don't give a fuck factor. It goes way up. That factor goes way up. And so, to me, what that really means is you're more free. You're more free to be self-expressive. You're more free. You kind of just don't really care what others think as much, or at all, honestly. So, it just equates to freedom to just go be you and just live your life and just be happy and joyous and love what you're doing and love where you're at in life and your surroundings and the people that you're with. And so, and that's with no shame, No, does that answer?
Yes. No, that's perfect. And in connection with that, I feel shame can be linked oftentimes for women based on their religion that they grew up in. Mm-hmm. That has a huge influence on just turning us down to thinking that sex is for another person or for your partner. However, I found recently that your sexuality has a connection to your spirituality. And when one is thriving, both are thriving. Do you feel those same thoughts, or what are your thoughts on connection between spirituality and sexuality?
Well, I don't see them as separate. Not me personally, because like I said, it is your own unique expression of yourself. Mm-hmm. When you feel spiritual, and I don't mean religious, I mean spiritual, you feel more open and free, and open and free means that you feel more creative, and feeling more creative often it's can be very sexual. And so, and again, back to what I was saying, that your sexuality, your sensuality, is your own self-expression. And when you feel open and free and creative to be who you are, it just sort of allows that side of you to come out. And it's beautiful, and we need to embrace it and know that that's our own unique expression, just like a snowflake is, there's no two alike. Same with us. And, you can copy what you see. You can copy what you see on television or, billboards or social media, but, that's not your unique expression. That's just role modeling. But when you really open up and just be free, it's your sexuality is part of it. It is creation. It's our vitality. I hope that light never goes out for any of us, because it is your creation, and we are creators. We're the creators of our own world. And it's just one part of it,
that life force that's in you. I mean, even when you've been doing those Joe Dispenza meditations and he
Mhm.
really focuses on your root and your sacral to build up that energy and then move that through the rest of your body.
Right. Right. I agree. And, it's, those meditations can be orgasmic.
Yeah.
Just like, just like your your genitals can be orgasmic. It's the same. It's there. It's really not separate. So yeah, I think to answer your question, I don't see it as separate. But I can see why people do. And it's just, I think it's just layers like the onion, we're just, when we're ready to peel back another layer, we let it go. And then when we're ready to peel back another layer, we let it go. And then we realize, maybe that layer was there to protect us from something at one point in our lives. And when we're ready to let that go, then we can let that go.
Yes. Everyone has their own cup of tea, but I think a lot can learn from you sharing your own experiences. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. It's really been a neat thing to be able to just look at this and to share, because this opportunity is a blessing for me, because I've really wanted this in my life and I never had it. And so that is why I'm doing Shady Ladies.
Yeah.
I want a community where we can all gather together and we can ask these questions, we can gain wisdom, we can feel supported and uplifted. And truly, when someone's done listening to Shady Ladies, I want them to feel fortified. So that's what I'm creating, because I wanted it so bad in my life. And so yeah, this is a blessing for me too. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I have a few more questions about
Sure.
you to dive deeper.
Yeah.
So I think that when people my age start thinking about aging, and we hear a lot about your golden years, your peak years in your sexuality, have you already reached that, or do you feel that that can just, your golden years are all the time? You choose when that happens.
Well, I think in years where and again, I'm still learning about myself. I haven't arrived, you know. But I think when I was in my 20s and having babies, I was tired. I was exhausted, taking care of little ones all day, um and we had a pretty good sized family. And so I was just doing that all the time, and I was tired. So that it was kind of hard when you're tired to want sex. But
Yeah.
then also there became a time where crap, not every time I have sex, but it doesn't take much, and then I'm pregnant, and I didn't want that. So my goal was just to have kids when I planned them. And I had 4, just like I wanted 4. The last one came really soon, and I later in life learned why he had to come right when he had to come. But yeah, by that point, I was just really careful, because I didn't want to have any more children right then. So later, in I would say my mid to late 30s, I realized, well, wait a minute, this sex thing is really kind of nice. And that's when I really had started to become way more spiritual, less religious in my life. And and I realized, yes, the sexual part of me needed to be expressed. And first of all, it needed to be explored and discovered and figure out what I like and what feels good to me. And so, that began to grow. And then I realized that there wasn't intimacy with my partner at that time. And so sex didn't feel good. It was just something I did, just do it and then be done with it. But then, if I were by myself, then it felt open and free and expressive and beautiful and beautiful. And then I began to love myself and my body and who I am. It really helped open that side of me up. And so, but because of all the shame over the years, I kind of kept that hidden away, right? I didn't share that side of myself. And, which was interesting because it was so free and open. You know, my mind just kind of wandered all sorts of ways, but I still kept it kind of hidden. And then as I got a little bit older, I realized I really like sex. I like masturbation. I like sex. I like that feel good feeling, those endorphins. I like how my body feels. I like how I feel after,
Yeah.
You know, an orgasm. It's kind of pretty amazing. And so I'm like, well, if it feels that amazing, it can't be wrong. So then I started opening up and allowing myself to just be freer in that way. And so it's taken, you know, many years to let go of the layers of shame. But I would say now I'm to a point where, as a woman, it is okay to love sex, to like it, to want it, to desire it. It's okay to initiate it. I always thought I couldn't be the one to initiate it. I'm still working on that one, because I do think that there's an innate desire in women to be chased, and there is a desire in man to chase. So I think that was, you know, our great source that created everything, created that innately within a man and a woman so that we would get together. You know, so I do think that women, we love to feel cherished. We love to feel desired. We love that. And why do they think we spend so much time in front of the mirror and getting ready? Because we may be doing it for ourselves, because I don't really care what anyone else thinks. But at the same time, like, I want my husband to go, wow, I really want you, you know?
Yes.
You know, I want him I want to turn him on. I want him to, you know, find me irresistible. I want that in my life. And where I've come now is I can say that. And I can say that right here on a podcast, no matter who hears it, I don't care. And, you know, and I know that I am okay. And it's just a part of me expressing my authentic side. And, you know, I'm so grateful to be at this point in my life. And, you know, I let that side of me be hidden for way too long, way too long. And so I would say to the younger generations, find out what that is for you, because it's going to be different for everyone. Find out what that is for you and let that side out, you know. And she doesn't need to be hidden away and be shamed and to feel, you know, that she can't be who she is. And and follow your heart for sure.
Sounds like getting in touch with your body, really just being yourself, showing up as your authentic self, empowers others to do the same. And when you're really comfortable with your body, I mean, it really just shines throughout all different aspects. A question for you that I have is, in not only your sexual life, but in your life overall, what has changed with your physical body that maybe you didn't expect? Because at my age, we're always wondering what's going to happen in 10 years from now. What will sex be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that your body does keep changing. You know, I'm not my 20-year-old easy, physically fit, you know, and so, you know, my body doesn't do what it used to could. And it's hard because, you know, I think honestly, we always have this image of our peak self, right? And so we never are
Mhm.
going to measure up to that as you age. It's not going to happen. So, I'm okay with that, because the wisdom that has come with age, I prefer more, and than being in the dark from where I was. And so, definitely my body doesn't do what it used to, and but I'm just, I don't know, I'm just working on loving it and loving myself through these different stages of life. Going into menopause, your body changes and your hormones are all over the place, and hot flashes, you're like, oh, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot. And just like, what, you're cold? Okay, 2 seconds later you were hot. So what is going on? And I honestly, I'm like, oh my gosh, my poor husband, I feel bad for him being with me. My hormones are like, and the hot and cold stuff, oh my gosh, I mean, normally he would be hot at night, but now I'm like, hot, cold, I'm hot.
Really?
Yeah, it's just crazy. And so yeah, I'm learning to embrace, well, and I think as a woman, a lot of women don't love their periods, their menstruation, those cycles in life. And I have to say, I was very fortunate. I didn't have a lot of issues with them. They were very regular, consistent, almost uneventful in a way. And so now that I've reached this phase of life, every time it shows up in my month, which it doesn't always show up, and it shows up very differently, I just give it gratitude that it allowed me to, give birth to my 4 beautiful children. And it was a part of, my who I am. And so, every time it shows up, which again is very inconsistent anymore, I just thank it for being there and allowing me to be a woman. And it's just part of womanhood, and I just embrace it. And I know when it's time for it to go, it'll just go away quietly and simply. and I'll love the next phase of life where, my hormones may be out of whack, but there's always lots of things you can do. And I'm still learning more on that as well. But yeah, there's so many different phases of life. And I think if you fight them, you're going to be miserable, and I think if you just try to stay present with who you are and stay connected with who you are, you can get through these phases a lot easier. Because yeah, I mean, if you don't have someone to go to, or you can't talk to your mom or an aunt, or a best friend's mom or something, it's kind of hard to get through some of this. You're just, those feelings, what they do is they isolate you. They make you feel isolated. They make you feel like you don't have anyone to turn to. And that's not true. Because one, you'll always have shady ladies. So,
yes.
And because, yeah, I mean, that's what it does. It just makes you feel isolated and that you're different and no one else feels like what you're feeling. It's just you. And that's just not true. So, yeah, we can all be here to support one another and be like, well, I mean, that just stunk.
Yeah.
That was miserable. That wasn't fun. But, you can just find some support, a community, hopefully, with the shady ladies, and, be able to ask questions and be like, is it just me? What's happening here? I don't know what's going on. I mean, we can only Google things to death so much,
Yeah.
It is a great resource. Don't get me wrong. I use it often. It's a great resource, but at the same time, sometimes we need connection, right? We need to feel connected to others. We need to feel a sense of belonging, and connecting to a computer will never give you that. So that is why I think this community is so important. So
For sure. And it's inspiring for you to say that through all the phases of your life, your mission with Shady Lazies is that life is orgasmic and you're meant to have pleasure in your life. And so it's great to know that you can still continue to do that no matter what age. And being with a partner so long, I'm curious, does it ever get boring? And what do you do to spice it up? Because oftentimes being with a partner, I think it can be easy to just go through the motions. Just, we're here in this space, let's get it done, move on to the next thing. So how do you get your mind away from that and moving into making it count every time?
Right, right. Well, I think that your question seems simple, but it isn't. It's extremely complex. And it took really diving into sex, love, and relationships to really understand the depth of what your question may even mean. And so it's helped me grow so much, because to me, there's nothing more important than relationships in our life. And I would have to say, does it get boring? Yes, it can. It can. But is that what you want? I mean, no. If that's not what you want, then make the changes to do something different. And so it can be that way. I would have to say, based on my 2 long-term relationships, one was, yeah, just do your duty, be done with it. And I hate to say that, because I know most women will come unglued to even hear me say that. But at that moment in my life, that's what it felt like. Like, okay, just do your thing, be done. I'm moving on to the next thing. I've got things to do. But it was very, well, this is kind of where the layers go to your question. I didn't know that I mattered just as much in that pleasure as he did. I didn't know that.
Oh my.
I didn't really ever orgasm during sex. I think there was maybe one time. I think only one time I ever orgasmed in 17 years during sex. So, but that's not, it's so 80% of women don't orgasm during sex. So women are going to have to find ways to find pleasure in other ways. You can incorporate it in with the sex. It doesn't have to be on your own, or in the shower or whatever, but anyway, but my thing is what I realized when I was younger, I couldn't be open in that relationship. I couldn't be open. I didn't feel safe to express myself, to open myself up, to enjoy and embrace that moment and being there. So I wasn't going to orgasm because I didn't feel safe. And if you don't feel safe, it's just not, women need that. And so, I think another layer of what your question is asking, women desire intimacy. We really want connection. We want that, fortifies us. We want to feel connected with our partner when we're having sex. And I don't even care if it's a one-night stand. You women, in a way, want to feel connected even with that one-night stand person, because if she doesn't feel connected, she's not going to orgasm, right? Yep. She's not going to be, she's not going to reach climax just like he will. So men and women have, our minds and our hormones couldn't be more different. I don't even know how we're together sometimes. Because what drives one doesn't drive the other. Men don't need love to orgasm, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So men just need desire. All they need is desire, and then they want that desire met. Well, women are like, well, not until I'm heard. We're going to sit over here, and until you listen to me, I am not going to give it up. Right. So then that whole fight ensues with relationship. And oh my gosh, I watch it over and over. And I'm not even saying that I haven't done it. But I remember when I was younger and that was starting to happen. And I didn't intend it by any means, but it was starting to happen in my relationship. I'm like, wait a minute, I see what's happening here and I don't like it. I don't want to be a part of this. This isn't fun. This feels tit for tat. It feels one partner using the other for something. And it didn't feel nurturing to me or my marriage or what I wanted to cultivate in my marriage. And so I quickly shifted out of that and started figuring out, what does Lola want? What helps her feel whole in this relationship, and also meaning sexually as well. And so I think that's when the opening kind of really came out, and really, yeah, there's so many layers. I think one thing is, I learned that no one was responsible for my pleasure but me. So I had to really do some searching and really figure out what that was and what feels pleasurable. And I think one thing that you can do to keep things from being, not get stale and boring and stagnant is, once you figure out what feels good to you, then open yourself up to fantasies, because we all have fantasies. There's not a person walking this planet that doesn't have a fantasy. Even if you don't want to recognize it, we all have fantasies. And so, and it doesn't mean that you have to share your fantasies with your partner. I'm not saying tell them your deep, dark secrets. Some things you may want to keep to yourself, and that's okay. But there may be some you're like, oh, that would be maybe fun if we tried this, and we tried that, or let's try going on this kind of date, and then kind of role playing or playing in a fun way, this or that. And I think one thing that may help you get some ideas and maybe open up to exploring different fantasies is, we have on on our website, Sex and Love with the Shady Ladies, there's a PDF. It's a yes, no, maybe list. And yeah, it's only a one pager. It's not exhausted type of a list. But it's a yes, no, maybe list. And so you can fill it out. I would just print it out. You can fill out what your yes, no, and maybes are. Have your partner fill out their yes, no, and maybes. So, some of you both will have 2 yeses, right?
Right.
You may have 2 no's. Well, not to explore those. So your no's are like, nope, non-negotiable. I'm not going to do that. Don't even think it's a maybe, because the no is the no. Right. And then if it's on your maybe list, but it's on his yes list, maybe you say, hey, I'm willing to try this, but here's my boundaries. It has to be like this, and I may be willing to explore. So, but if something's on your list, yes list, and on their maybe list, talk about it beforehand and say, maybe could we try this? This sounds kind of fun to me or interesting. And, let it be like a sandbox, right? You're just playing. No one has to, there's no performance here. And that, that's one thing I had to share with my husband. Women get performance anxiety too. I mean, men get it for sure. Right. But women get it too. And so, I would like to just take that out of the equation and just let it be play, because, one thing for women can feel amazing after sex or making love or that intimate moment and not even orgasm and still feel full because of the connection. And men, it's either, ejaculation or not. I mean, that's just what it is. It's just that. And so, they may go or they may not. Exploring different fantasies is, we have on on our website, Sex and Love with the Shady Ladies, there's a PDF. It's a yes, no, maybe list. And yeah, it's only a one pager. It's not exhausted type of a list. But it's a yes, no, maybe list. And so you can fill it out. I would just print it out. You can fill out what your yes, no, and maybes are. Have your partner fill out their yes, no, and maybes. So, some of you both will have 2 yeses, right?
Right.
You may have 2 no's. Well, not to explore those. So your no's are like, nope, non-negotiable. I'm not going to do that. Don't even think it's a maybe, because the no is the no, right? And then if it's on your maybe list, but it's on his yes list, maybe you say, hey, I'm willing to try this, but here's my boundaries. It has to be like this, and I may be willing to explore. So, but if something's on your list, yes list, and on their maybe list, talk about it beforehand and say, maybe could we try this? This sounds kind of fun to me or interesting. And, let it be like a sandbox, right? You're just playing. No one has to, there's no performance here. And that, that's one thing I had to share with my husband. Women get performance anxiety too. I mean, men get it for sure, right? But women get it too. And so, I would like to just take that out of the equation and just let it be play, because, one thing for women can feel amazing after sex or making love or that intimate moment and not even orgasm and still feel full because of the connection. And men, it's either, ejaculation or not. I mean, that's just what it is. It's just that. And so, they may go or they may not or orgasm, but, I don't know on the man side if they feel as full or gratified as women do even if we don't orgasm. So, yeah, I think that we don't have to orgasm every single time. It's nice. It's great. Yes. but, then you can explore other things, toys and all kinds of things, to still have that. But I would say in my age, what I would tell my younger self is she comes first. There's a great book out there called She Comes First. And if she comes first, the sex will be great all the time. And he'll get it often.
That's great. It does take a little more effort, it feels like, for my side to happen versus the man's side.
It does. Absolutely, it does. But the thing is, it always takes women. I mean, they say, they've scientifically, studied this, documented this, that it takes women from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. I'm like, 45 minutes? Who has that kind of time? That's just the warm up? 45 minutes? Are you kidding? Men are like, I'm done by then.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So I think, how I know the science is true, but I think how I find a way to make that work is self-exploration. When you know what feels good to you, you're going to quickly go there, and it's not going to take you 45 minutes. And so, I think that, to me, I look at the 45-minute time frame as also some anticipation that keeps the sex not boring. So why do people go to other partners? Like, because they think that they want it interesting. Well, it's not your partner. It's not about your partner, whether or not it's interesting or not. It's about that anticipation, right? Because, you're doing all those things you did when you first dated, right? That excitement, that anticipation. So if you can do that, say you have a special date night where you do something super romantic, or something out of the ordinary, not just dinner and go home or whatever, or dinner and a movie, or I don't know how many people are doing movies anymore since COVID, but anyway, it's, you don't have to do the mundane thing anymore, but make it super romantic, like like a carriage ride around town or something. And just that anticipation of what the night will bring, that starts stirring that up. So I put that stuff in with the 45-minute time frame, because that anticipation is building and building, and that excitement helps us, with, what's to come. And that gets us super, super jazzed about what's going to happen in the bedroom. So there, I guess. So, but yeah, I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, that answered it. And then you can look at yes, no, your yes, no, maybe list when you get to the bedroom. Do you have an episode on that? How do people stay true to their boundaries and create those healthy boundaries without maybe feeling guilt or pressure from your partner? You want to give them everything that you can, but you also have a boundary set in place.
Yeah. Boundaries are vital. Vital. So think about this. I mean, think about different analogies in life and in the world without boundaries. So if you don't have boundaries, then, why, I hate to use this analogy, but why do countries go to war? Well, it's over boundaries. And in the very, just the whole evolution of the planet, it's always about territory. So you have to have boundaries. So you've got to figure out what those are for you. And that's why there's a huge element of this self-discovery about what is important to you, what you feel safe doing, what's on your non-negotiable list of no, where's your no? And what, the thing is if you decide where that is for you, before you even approach it with your partner, then you'll know. You'll know. And if it's in the maybe column and you feel safe letting this partner know that it's in your maybe column, then say, okay, well, I mean, I can maybe try that in certain settings. So, one thing that women need to feel safe. We need to feel desired. We want to feel chased, like someone's been chasing after us, like we're the object of their desire, not us and 5 others, just us, like 100%, just us. And that makes us feel very secure. And so then we start opening that up. But I think that for as long as history goes on, I think that women have always done more than what they really wanted to do and felt comfortable doing because of the guy, because of you love them so much, you're just willing to do what they want. I think as women, we need to stand firm, and we need to stand in our wholeness and say, this is what I can deal with, and this is what I can't. And stay strong in that. And you know what? They're going to respect you more for holding to your values. I personally on the sexandlovewiththeshadyladies.com yes, no, maybe list, I don't have a whole lot of things on my no list per se, but I do have a few, and they're firm. That's just where they're at. And I have a absolutely amazing, wonderful, loving partner who respects that. So I think that if you feel strong enough that your no is your no on something, say, hey, this is no, and it's going to always be a no. And I need you to respect that. Leave it at that. Nothing more said. That's all you got to say. And so on that note about the fantasies, is maybe this will help you feel a little better with it, is that fantasies are great. Fantasies are wonderful. You start having them as a young kid. You can't make that go in your head. You don't make it be there. It just is there. So fantasies are normal. They're a natural part of growing up and discovering who you are. But also there are fantasies that don't need to be acted out, and that's okay. Whether it be yours or theirs, they're just fantasies. Let them stay there. So not every fantasy has to be acted out. And I would say, as a woman, as a young woman growing up, figuring out who you are, not only who you are yourself, in your career, but also in your marriage, in your relationships. Stand your ground, be who you are, figure out what your non-negotiables are, and just don't let those boundaries be pushed in any way.
That's a good one. I love that. That definitely stands more in your confidence and your empowerment, being able to create those healthy boundaries, and even going back to the yes, no, maybe list multiple times, because that could always change. I may put something no for this year and then next year completely change, move that to maybe or a yes. So revisiting it every so often.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because we all change. We do change and we shift, and we're like, wow, I can't believe that I used to be so prudish about that, So yes, we all do change. And that's a beautiful part of the process. But also when you're very clear about what you want, you'll find that the people around you will show you more respect, whether it be your partner, your friendships, your coworkers. When you're just very clear about where you are with something, you'll see them showing up in that way that reflects your confidence and your choice.
I think the biggest message from today that I've learned is just the more accepting of yourself you are, the more accepting of everything you are, and the more that you can create and receive. I do have one last question for you, and that is, what is your number one toy or item that you would suggest any woman needs to have?
Oh, good one. Good one. So that is also ever evolving. I have done some studying that, so just a little history. For a while, the rabbit was my favorite, right? Because you've got two forms of stimulation. And I always thought like the G spot was the ultimate spot. Well, then in studying more and more, and just whether it be my own personal study or reading about it, learning more about it, is the clitoris has legs that go down. They're internal, so you don't see them, but the clitoris has legs that go on the inside, and they're longer than you would think, because the clitoris is quite small, right? Like the pearl, like that's what they call it. So anyway, so some would say that every orgasm is a clitoral orgasm, doesn't matter where it is. So anyway, so I just try to work at embracing these thoughts and seeing what my body feels like. And so I would say lately the womanizer's been kind of nice.
Womanizer.
Yeah, the womanizer. You'll have to look it up. So it's a small little vibrating thing. Thank God for USB charging anymore. We don't have to deal with batteries. But so it's just a small USB charged handheld device that has multiple settings, but at the end it's got like this little suction thing on it. Ooh. And so it almost kind of mimics oral sex. So it does this little gentle puff of air through the opening, almost like as if someone were to pucker their lips, and it does this little blowing. It's subtle but amazing at the same time. So that has been my go-to for sure lately. Although I don't know, it kind of just depends. There's another one that is good for the couple, where it's kind of a U-shaped and it goes inside of her, it vibrates, so it's stimulating the G spot. At the same time, the other side's the man feels the vibration as well. So it goes inside her like a sea.
Ooh.
And so he can feel on the outside the vibration. And then she feels that G-spot stimulation. I would say that one probably gave me the biggest, most toe curling orgasm in my life.
Yes.
So, but that one, it requires so many other layers, right? You've got your partner, you've got to be relaxed, you've got to, like you want your bedroom clean, you know what I mean? Like there's so many layers to that being opening up and being wonderful. So I would say something quick and easy and simple and non-complicated happens to, I'm talking 3 minutes, the womanizer.
The womanizer. That sounds fantastic.
Yes.
Sweet. Well, that was all the questions I had for you today.
Yeah, those are fantastic questions. And I want to applaud you for being, even at your age, being free enough and open enough to embrace these questions, because these are not easy questions. My generation had nowhere to turn and nowhere to go. And, I just feel like, I just want to honor what you're doing and that you're willing to ask these questions, because, it even helps me open up even more and be like, what did I think? And what would I change? And to just have a space to be able to go is so important. And to feel that you can come to someone, there's someone you can actually talk to is just so fortifying,
Yes.
and be like, wow, okay, I'm not alone. No one's going to judge me. I'm not going to be shamed, and so you can just ask away, and, it is what it is. We're just here in this human existence, hopefully having a spiritual life. But yeah, sometimes it doesn't feel that way sometimes. But anyway, I thank you for just your courage to step up, at your age. And so hopefully you can share this with your friends and all the lovely ladies your age, and, and maybe it'll start more questioning, and we can just have like a whole circle of us talking about this stuff, and do a part 2.
Yes, I love this. I even asked some of my friends before this, what are questions that you wish you could ask your mom about love and relationships, but you're too scared to ask? So some of these questions were directly from them. And I thought I learned so much. They're going to learn a ton too. And I mean, even just all the different toys that we can have. Here I am with just a basic pink little vibrator, knowing that we could really explore further and truly have more.
So oh my gosh, let's talk about that. We can do like a little virtual toy party, and we can talk about a bunch of different things. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'd love that. I'd have so many questions then for all the different toys you have.
Yes. Well, and so I want to do a podcast on how many toys is normal.
I don't know. Is there no limit? Depends on the person asking, I suppose. Exactly. But the limit doesn't exist.
Right. There is no limit.
Well, thank you for being open and answering all my questions and being able to provide your truth on the spot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. We appreciate you coming on today, and hopefully we'll have many more to come.
Yes.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.